All right, I'm now joined by a very, very special guest, recurring guest, friend of the show. It is Mason McCoy, San Diego Padres organization infielder. We've been doing this for 3 years now. I just actually four, 2021. First year I had Mason on back when he was with the Orioles. It felt like forever ago, but Mason's the man. I'm always happy to talk to him. So Mason, how we doing?
We're good. We're good. How you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, I just looked. I was like, yeah, October 2021. So, you've been riding for me on this pod for a while now, and I always appreciate it every time we get to catch up. So,
Uh,
I wanted to start talk a little Padres. Playing in San Diego came up and towards the end of last year. Had some games earlier this year. They just pack that yard every night. It's like 40,000 plus every single night in Petco. Can you feed off the crowd energy? Like, what is it like playing at home in San Diego?
yeah, they just show out. I mean, it's every game. I remember the first when I got called up. It was either that day or the next day. We had like a day game against Detroit, and I remember walking out there. I was like, "Why is there so many people here on a Wednesday? Like, what is going on?" Or what? I don't remember what day of the week it was. But I was like, "There's way too many people here. This is crazy." But yeah, you definitely feed off of it. The energy. It's so much easier to swing momentum. Obviously, that's like home field advantage type of situation, but you notice it on a guy gets behind in the count one time and gets up a hit, and all of a sudden, like you can feel like the stadium getting louder and louder, and it's like I know the other team feels that. Everybody knows the other team feels that. You played enough baseball games that you can feel when momentum starts to shift, and having that many people there all the time makes it a lot easier to shift the momentum for sure.
It is, yeah, you're right. Like the getaway days, the middle of the week day games. Usually, you go to the yard. There's like 10,000 people there from most other stadiums, but yeah, 40,000 in Petco. Um, where does that home atmosphere rank for you? Like just in terms of all the places that you've been so far?
I mean, I definitely say number one. It's yeah, it's just I think it's just different, and it's not like how sometimes you go to a game or whatever, and there's like subtle noise in the background because people are having conversations or whatever. It's like they're there to watch the game, like they are diehard there to watch the game. They're getting into it. They're getting excited. It's not so much as background noise as it is like they're there to watch it. And I think that makes a big difference too.
What's the flip side of this? Maybe from the minor leagues. Do you remember playing in stadiums where it was dead quiet and just thinking like, well, this is the weirdest thing ever?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we still do. Like, there's still stadiums that we go to, and we might go, on a week where nothing's going on, like around the city, and so it's like there's nobody. I think we went to OKC earlier this year, like second week of the season. It was like a little bit breezy and cold and rainy, and there was absolutely like you could hear the other dugout having conversations. I'm like, this is going to be either really good or really bad because you're hearing everything that everybody's saying. But yeah, it's just different. It feels like we always talk about spring training games. Feels like a backfield spring training game during those situations or those games where there's nobody there. There's no momentum. It's just like you got to figure out a way to make it feel like it's the World Series game, basically.
That's got to be because I saw Brian. He's playing independent ball. I think it's like the Atlantic League,
Oh yeah,
Southern Maryland. It was just like a week. This is a weekday, so it was I don't know, 100 people there. I was sitting behind the dugout. I could hear everything they were saying. I could hear the other dugout from across the field. It freaked me out. Like, how are you supposed to
yeah.
like have game conversations or even just like dog cuss the umpire when there's no background noise?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. That's where I think a lot of we play six games a week against the same team. It's like if that's the environment, and I run my mouth one time to someone across the field, or he pitcher spikes a fastball that almost hits me in the ankle, and I say something, all of a sudden it's like tensions are rising throughout the whole series because there's nobody here. There's no washout noise or nothing. Like I'm not that guy, but
Right.
yeah, it's definitely you can see it. I'm surprised there's not more benches clearing or arguments or anything like that than there actually are.
San Diego must be great for that. They can't hear anything. You just say whatever you want.
Oh yeah, you can't hear a word out there. No, yeah, no chance. Pop flies, no. I always think I call pop flies loud enough, and then you get into some situation like that, and you're like, "Holy cow!" You're yelling, throwing your arms around. Yeah, it's tough.
Has that happened? Bermuda Triangle? Like, well, like you don't obviously that's like the worst feeling ever. I feel like is when three guys converge and nobody calls it. But like, has that happened to you yet?
Not really. I mean, not at Petco. I had one earlier this year that was like down the foul pole line, where the tarp was in Detroit, and it was like you could like and there wasn't nearly. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but it wasn't nearly like it is at Petco. And I remember running for it, and I was like, the only person that could hear me was Sheets, that was sitting right in front of me. I guarantee it. He was the only guy that could hear me in the stadium. But yeah, I can't. I haven't had the ability to have a Bermuda Triangle Bowl in Petco with 50,000 people there or anything like that yet. That would be. I'm sure that would be a little scary, a little nerve wrenching while you're running after it.
Never thought about that. Yeah, with the home field advantage, like could also come back to bite you because it's so loud. Um,
Yeah, just communication.
so wait, I wanted to go back to that because that game was that the game in Detroit. You had two incredible defensive plays in the same game.
Yeah. It was like the one start that I got, and then I punched out three times or something. But yeah, defensively, I played good
Defensively,
defensively. Yeah, I had some good plays. I had the ability to make some. I had a foul ball down the line in the first inning that I dove for, and then I had the foul ball that was like on the fence. And then I think I had one up the middle that I dove for. But yeah, I had a couple good plays.
how much pride do you take in your defense? Is that something that like you still to this day you'll go out there? Do you take extra, or is that just like is it more of a natural feel kind of thing for you? Because like you make it look so easy, diving in the hole up the middle, diving around, like you're really good defensively.
Thank you. I took pride in it. Honestly, in 2022, when I've always took, obviously you always want to be the best at like everything that you do, but in 2022 when I was with Seattle, they kind of helped simplify my defense to use my legs more, not so much my arm, and I got more carry on the ball and more accurate, and then a lot of glove work stuff. And I think I kind of saw it take off a little bit more. I cleaned a lot of things up, and then I started taking like a lot of pride in it. Um, and then yeah, it's just I take a lot of ground balls. I throw a decent amount. I mean, I'll take ground balls every day. Even show and go days, we'll still go out there and do glove work or something like that. Very, very rarely do I not put on the glove, and that's like some people's happy places going to the cage, some people's happy places, throwing on the mound, whatever it may be. It's like mine's definitely going to go and take ground balls and mess around. Sometimes it is messing around though. Trying to do behind the backs or glove throws or whatever you do. Like that's part of adding stuff to your bag, I guess.
You might be the goat in terms of just like flipping the ball out, not using your hand, using the glove. So like that obviously comes in the preparation you just like talked about.
Yeah, well, not very many people have done it. So yeah, I mean, there's not a big list for sure.
That's got to be a good feeling though, because like defense and obviously you're fast as hell too. So like it has to be a good feeling knowing that like whatever happens at the plate happens, but at the end of the day, I'm still bringing a great glove and I'm still gonna give you a hard 90.
Yeah, I think sometimes you get more in your head. It's like how many players like do you know or we've seen play that are like the complete player. It's like there's not very many players that are the five-tool players that do everything. Like throw, speed, hit for power, hit for contact. Like, there's not very many of those guys. And so it's like for me to try to, and if they are, it's a Cunha or it's a Tatis, it's guys that are, paid like it because they're one of very few. And for players to try to think of themselves as this complete player and trying to do all these things, I think that's where like the added pressure comes. So I think big growth for me is just like understanding what I'm here to do, essentially, like my defense, running, being smart, high IQ player, and then and then we can figure out how to use those things offensively or in the ways like that places that I'm a little bit limited for the others. Like again, like I have a decent arm, but like, do I have a De La Cruz arm that throws 100 and like no, but can I get rid of the ball quick? Can I make an accurate throw? Can I then that all of a sudden makes up for some of those lack of attributes, if you will. But yeah,
Is this
yeah, I think yeah, it's a big part of it is just you compensate for certain things, but try not to think about oh man, I got to hit 30 pumps and hit 350. Like, is that in the cards? Probably not. Like that would be cool. I'm not saying it's not, but like every once in a while, but not I'm not that guy every year.
it sounds like this self-awareness, is that something you've always kind of had?
No, no chance. No chance. I think you kind of grow into that as you play. You start to figure out the player that you are. I went from, I mean, with the Orioles, it was like I was a high contact guy with not a lot of power. And then and I was like a good enough defender. Then it started becoming like more power, ton of strikeouts, playing better defense. And then it was like, you're not that guy. You're not going to be that guy in the show. And then it changed to like, let's bunt. let's run, let's get on base, let's try to steal, let's make them some things happen, hit and runs. And I think that's where, self-awareness starts to come in. It's like, don't try to be somebody that you're not.
It sounds like there's been several iterations of you as a player. Like,
Yeah.
is that hard mentally trying to like does it click when you're like, okay, or even that maybe it's like a directive handed down, like we need more bags, we need more of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all what the org is wanting or willing to, utilize. Some organizations have like a higher emphasis on like your OPS, or they want extra base hits and walks, and so it's like your swing decision is a big thing. Your damage is a big thing, where others are, like, let's bunt, let's move guys, let's just put the ball in play, let's try to lower the strikeouts. So yeah, I mean, and 22 is the best. You could argue 22 is the best year of my career in terms of like 20 something homers and 20 something bags and hit 260 or whatever it was. But then you could also argue that in 2019, when I was with the Orioles, I hit 300 with 500 ABs or 600 ABs or whatever it was. I hit really well, but I didn't have, I had like 5 homers, and I didn't, I had 20 doubles or something like that. Nothing crazy. So you could argue both sides. I think it just depends on, where teams value certain things.
I wanted to go back because I brought it up earlier, but like end of last year, you come up in August, and there was a great stretch there where you're playing every single day. How great of a feeling was it just knowing that you showed up to the ballpark, you look at the lineup card, you see McCoy penciled in there? Like, did you have a moment to kind of soak that in and be like, you know what, like I'm getting a good run here. This is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I did not expect it to an extent. I was prepared, obviously, but I didn't expect it. I actually, the day that I got there, I was running on like 3 hours of sleep, early morning flight. I get there, and I didn't expect a chance that I was going to go in and play the first game after running in 3 hours of sleep. And they ended up, yeah, put me out there, got my first hit, half asleep. Like, we just got it done. And then, yeah, that next day I was starting, and I was like, well, the first start is sweet. Like, did not expect this. And all of a sudden, like, I started getting a little bit more comfortable. I think what happened was you're kind of blinded to it at first. You're just like, I don't know, not starstruck, but like almost that feeling. And you're just out there. You're like, I kept telling myself, you're just doing your job. Like, there's 50,000 people. You're just doing your job. We're pushing for a playoff spot. Like, it is what it is. And then I think as I started getting more comfortable, the realization kind of set in to where it was, now I feel like I have to do all of these things that I didn't feel like I had to do before, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So then I started putting like this pressure on me, like probably the last like 4 or 5 games. It was like, I wanted to be the guy to hit the homer and hit the triple in the gap, or like all these crazy things. And I'm like, that was like an unrealistic, like, just let the game come to me type of thing. And I was doing it for the beginning, and towards the end of like those few weeks, I started to not do it. And I remember one game, Bogarts like pulled me into the, like, he was like first inning, he pulled me into, I don't know, the tunnel or something. And he just like gave me a hug, and he was like, dude, you're doing a really good job. He's like, you just got to take a deep breath. And I was like, for someone like that to do that, he's an unbelievable person, unbelievable player. But like, for someone to do that to me who doesn't need to is pretty special. And yeah, just kind of put things in perspective. So I just try to carry that for, yeah, the rest of the time.
5 game hit streak, I think, to start your career too. So
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It was solid. And then I had a bad one in Tampa, but I bounced back the next one.
I mean, was there? I mean, if you had to rank the pinch me moments, obviously getting called up first game in Toronto, first hit. Like, what are some other ones that like you're in the show and you're like, oh my god, because you've been working at this for you drafted in what 18, 19, so or no,
17.
17, even longer.
17,
So you've
yeah.
been grinding away, and
Previous
now
sign.
what's that feel like?
Um, like, you're saying like one specific moment where it was like, well,
Yeah, or just like I don't. Yeah, the cliche is always like, what's the moment you know you made it? But
yeah.
if maybe a variation off of that, like, what are some of the coolest like soak it in moments you've had so far?
I mean, I feel like I've had so many that I haven't taken for granted. The Blue Jays was pretty special when that all happened. I did have a moment. So, like, obviously, when you play next to Manny, it's kind of like, or Manny and Bogey. I mean, you're split the infield, and then you have Crony or Rise. Like, it's pretty an elite group of infielders and players. So I think I was a little bit, not hesitant, but quiet, like, to myself, like, go about your work, don't bother, like, let let the play show itself, and then we can start like opening up a little bit. And I think we were playing the Mets at home. Like pretty much every pop fly that came in the vicinity, Manny would call. Manny would catch. It was no big deal. And then I got mic'd up for an Apple TV game at home against the Mets. Don't know why I did, but I did. And it wasn't a bad day. I think I was like lined out, struck out, whatever. I was like 0 for 3 or something, but I hadn't got a ground ball. And I remember going up for a pitching change, and I'm up there, and Manny puts his arm around me, and we're sitting there talking. He was like, "You good?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm good." I was like, "I just want to contribute." I'm like, "I feel like I've just been a body out here. Like I haven't done anything. I haven't I haven't contributed in no way, shape, or form." And he was like, "You're gonna get one. Like it'll be good, whatever." And then it probably was like 3 hitters later, maybe, and Pete Alonso is up. I'm pretty sure it's Pete, and he hit a 5,000 foot ball in the air, and it went up straight up between me and Manny. I kind of like put my arm in my glove in my arm, and I looked at him as it like because I knew he was gonna call it, and he did the exact same thing to me, and he like gave me like a head nod, and I was like, "This is the one you want me to get." And so then I went and I caught it, and I think that was like a cool moment for me. It was just almost like a head nod, like head nod moment, like I don't know what the word, confirmation type of moment. So yeah, that was probably pretty special and like in my eyes for me. Just move on. I caught it and they were laughing or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty special.
That clubhouse from Bogarts to Manny to all those guys you just mentioned, it sounds like it's a pretty close, pretty core, awesome group they have there.
Yeah, it's as welcoming and as I mean, there's definitely an expectation. Like when you show up to the field, the expectation is like you're the best and one of the best teams in the country. Like you need to play like it every single night. So there is an expectation that they want to meet. But yeah, in terms of like group of guys and like actual people, they're I mean, there's not one bad person on that team as a person, which makes it a lot easier for you to go out and play every day. And the grind gets going. I mean, you play all those games in that short of time, like it gets grindy and tensions fly and words are said or whatever. But like it is such a easy place to show up and play with all those guys. Yeah,
Is that
special.
why in the offseason? Because I know there was some like roster moving around. And I think you had re-signed back with the Padres. Was that
Yeah.
was that all kind of feed into that decision making process of wanting to come back?
Yeah, I think they just treated me with a lot of respect when I got there. And I'm a big, like, I'm not a 22-year-old prospect. It's not where I'm at in my career. So it's being a straight shooter and being honest. Like, I can handle, I just don't like the runaround. I'd rather you just be straight up right away. And then it's like we can figure it out from there. And they were like that from the get go when I signed there last year. And then this off season when I had some health stuff or whatever. And then, yeah, they called me and they were like, "We taking you off the roster, but like we want you here. Like we want to make it known." And we had some really good conversations with them. And yeah, I was like, I'm so comfortable here, and I don't want to bounce around. I want to stick somewhere, and I love to stick here. Like this place is awesome. I like the way they treat even minor leagues, like staff in AAA is awesome. The way they run things, the trainers, like everybody from the bottom and the top, and I enjoy it.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy because like I feel like as a ball player, that's something that like doesn't get talked about enough, but just like stability, sticking around for a little bit. Because you've been Orioles and Mariners and Padres, but like and Blue Jays, it's got to be nice knowing that like you're building something in one spot.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not, and it's not that like the organizations didn't value me or whatever. I think it's just like where I'm at in my career. They value me. They want me here for whatever specific reason, and they make it known to me that that is why, and that I can contribute and I can do these things. And it's not again like obviously I have to perform.
Mhm.
I still have to go out there and do my job and be healthy and do all those things. But in terms of just being brutally honest and like when those tough conversations happen, I don't have to worry about somebody going, well, yeah, yeah, we really like, and then, they're pumping your tires when really it's, they have a completely different thing in mind. But yeah, brutally honest is I've respected since the get go, and I've made it known too. Told them I was like, I like it here a lot because you are like that, and yeah, I've been treated with nothing but respect, and I'll never be able to speak ill will on the Padres or anything like that. I know some, there's some players who are get bitter at whatever organization is because they get screwed over or something like that. And I think you have to separate the two. There's like a business side of things, and it's like how they are as people. And when they're able to have conversations that kind of meet in the middle, um, makes it a lot easier to go about your work and your life.
Straight shooters. AJ Preller's my favorite GM in baseball. Guy's a rock
Yeah,
star.
he is. He is a good dude.
I wanted to ask about a couple Maryland guys because this is a part of the show where I just like, the Maryland bias comes out. Jackson Merrill, like to see what he's done in center field, going from the middle infield to obviously like had like 11 outs above average last year. He's like should have won a Gold Glove. I feel like for the outfield work he's done. Like how impressive is that? Just going from like a position he's never played before to being a rock star in center field.
I think that's another guy where I said that I think I said this before, I think I said this last year. He is a guy like when I got there, right? Obviously at that point he already played almost in or he was at, we were a couple months out of the whole year. And he was having an unbelievable year still. I mean, he's having an unbelievable year this year, but like the confidence that he even had in that spring, his first, that 2024 spring training, it's not arrogance. It's not cockiness. It's like, I know what I'm capable of and what I'm going to go out there and do. And he just like busts it every day. Like never takes days off. Like he is dialed in all the time. But he's also, again, like I say, he's a really good person. Like he doesn't act like when he signs his extension and all these things or whatever, he doesn't act any different. He's an unbelievable teammate, unbelievable guy. But yeah, like his ability is ridiculous. And being as young as he is, like it's honestly kind of scary at how if he can stay healthy and do those things, like how good he actually can be. He's a dog.
Yeah, was he 22 or something? It's insane. He hasn't even begun. He hasn't
Yeah.
even hit his peak yet.
No, yeah, he's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Have you played the outfield before? What's like that transition? I feel like is very it's like pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's different. I do think the center field is the easiest of the transitions just because like it's easier to read balls off the bat from center. They're not the right field. You get like a top spin ball or a backspin ball, you can't really tell the difference, and it's hooking and you have slice and stuff. And center, it's easier to gauge. Does not the position is not easy, obviously. I'm not downplaying it at all. But he's a super athlete. So, I remember taking ground balls with him in spring training in 24, and he was like, Mace, like, I think this is the last time I'm gonna take ground balls here. He's like, they're moving me to the outfield. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I think I'm going to center field. And then like literally never saw him again in the infield. Like never saw him after that. It's so funny. He talked about it too. He's like, you remember that time you were taking ground balls? And like, I just stopped coming. I'm like, yeah, I remember. But yeah, different. He's different.
Oh, it's nostalgic. Yeah, he'd take all of his cool infield gloves and just like,
Yeah.
get a couple outfielders ones in there.
He'll still run in there sometimes during ground ball or something and take a couple. But yeah, I think he's pretty good out there. I don't think he has to
Yeah.
worry.
Is that also a testament too to like the Padres coaching staff? Because I feel like they always get the best out of guys wherever they put them in the field. Like they have a team full of shortstops. Or I think the infield, yeah, it's a team full of middle infielders playing all over the diamond. Like, could you attest to some of the Padres coaching stuff that you've seen?
Yeah, I think again, I said it. I feel like a broken record, but I think the way they get the reason they get so much out of their players, they're really, really good coaches, but they're also good people. So it's like when you show up to the park, there's no walking on eggshells. There's no like, oh man, if I don't do this, then this is the repercussion. It's like you show up and every one of those coaches are there for you. They're good people. They're asking about your family. They're asking about these things. So the more comfortable you can get in the locker room, the more like your traits and your play is going to come out and you're going to play a lot better. You're not tense, you're not stressing, whatever. And I think Schulte does a really good job of solidifying that in the whole, like throughout the whole coaching staff. So it's like, whether I'm sure it's when he moved to the outfield, or I'm sure, when anybody's moved different positions, they pump them so full of encouragement and like, dude, you can do this. Like you're an unbelievable player, blah, blah, blah. And they just like, they talk you up so much that you believe you truly believe like down your core, like you can do these things. And then you go out there and your game takes care of itself and you start doing it. And now your confidence is there. And even when you have bad games, like they still, the confidence is never, they truly love their players. And I think that's where they get the most out of them. I think that's how they do, honestly. They don't expect, again, that's where that expectation comes from. They don't expect someone to come up as a fill-in guy from, like I come up, maybe Bogey goes down for a little bit and I come up. They don't expect me to go up there, hit 400 with 15 homers. They literally want me to go up there and play elite defense, do what I do. And like they're bringing me up there because they just want me to do what I do. They don't want me to do anything else. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Just go up there and do what you do. And that's confidence of not having to do too much, I think gets the most out of their players.
That's the best, man. I love that kind of environment. Um, you mentioned Gavin Sheets earlier, but this is another guy, like, changes scenery, comes to this organization for all the reasons that, like, you just mentioned, like, that our guys get the most out of themselves there. How cool has it been seeing what he's been able to do in San Diego? The power is incredible.
Yeah. Oh, I played with Gavin or against Gavin. Him and Ripken or Ryan are really tight. So I got to play against him, and I remember in 21 a lot. Um, and we always would. I talked with all the players on the other team. Obviously, as an infielder, you just chop it up with them. But he was my locker mate in spring training this year, so we got to talk and joke around a bunch. But just to see what he's done and where he's, from last year to this year, and like he's always been a really good big league player. But like this year, he hits the ball so freaking hard. I mean, he hits the ball so hard. He plays good defense. He's a monster of a human. So yeah, it's really exciting to see him and how much success. You can't write it any better. Like his first AB, he goes homer. Like you can't, as a Padre, like you can't write it any better than that. And he's been having a great year. So hopefully he can get a little scary running with the wall earlier, but hopefully he can stay healthy and just keep doing it because he is doing it.
Yeah, be the best Gavin Sheets he can be. The organization instill that confidence in him. It is cool seeing that, like, the you always hear change of scenery for guys, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but like it just looks like a completely different version of him than the last couple of years in Chicago, which is so cool.
Yeah, and again, I think some of that probably, a lot of it probably is like the staff doing these things, or he feels comfortable. I'm sure it could be some of that stuff, but also like playing on a winning team makes a big difference. A team that you went from the White Sox, who wasn't competing last year, to like now you're playing with a team who, arguably could have been in the World Series, arguably the best team on paper. Like it's just, I'm sure that adds some pressure, but also like takes some pressure off. Where it's like you're surrounded by so many like elite players that do your job and things are going to work out fine.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, he was on the last year's White Sox, were the worst team in history, I think, in terms of
Yeah,
wins and losses. So,
yeah.
um, have you been on teams like that where the vibes aren't great? Like, how do you show up to the yard every day when you're on a losing streak?
Um, yeah, I've been on some teams that honestly early in my career it wasn't that I didn't have any really bad teams, and I think 21 Norfolk team was right after COVID when we played like we literally played Charlotte, Durham, and Jacksonville like every other week. Like I think we played Durham 40 times, 50 times, something crazy. And that term team won like 100 and something games that year. So we lost a lot that year. That was also like, the COVID stuff. So it was also just like a weird environment in general. Um, but yeah, it just makes like every day, like,
Not
honestly,
fun.
it makes every day kind of dreadful where you're like, all right, we got to grind out today. But it's like when you're grinding out every day, it's not as fun. Whereas if you show up to the ballpark and you're like, dude, we are good. Like we're gonna beat these guys down today, and then it just sets a different tone for the day when you show up. Um,
I feel
Definitely.
like Tyler Nevin was there, right? That was 21 was the year Norfolk had like the losing streak of whatever, however many games.
Yeah, Nevin was there for a little bit. Um, yeah, we had. I'm trying to think of some other guys that were on that team. Richie was down there. Richie Martin was down there for a little bit.
Stevie.
Um, Wilkerson was not. We had Ramon Urias for like a minute, not a very long time, but he was there for a little bit. But yeah, we were not good, not good at all. Good group of guys, but we just
Yeah,
we just didn't
just
win games.
just didn't
Just didn't
work.
win games. Yeah, no. We're also
Um,
playing like the All Star team of Durham. They were ridiculous.
I just went to my first Bulls game this month. Place
Yeah.
rocks. It's so
Oh,
fun.
yeah. It's a sweet stadium.
They had the bat dog.
Yep. Makes it that much better.
Yeah, it's just I always wonder, like, does the dog leave like indents in the bat? Like if there's like gripping like where you put your hands, it's like there's teeth marks from Champ the Bat Dog. I have to look into that.
You could probably see. I think you could see it on tar. Like if you have a big tar bat, you can see like where the teeth have like rubbed some of the tar off. But that poor dog probably got his pine tar all in his mouth. But other than that, no, it's fine.
Ooh, speaking of that, do you wear a bunch of pine tar on the front of your helmet?
No, never that.
Is the purpose of that just from when guys like tap the front of it, or does it just look cool?
Probably both. A little bit both. I mean, I've seen guys who actually use it, but I also see nobody use it. It just sits there and it looks cool.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of a mix between both.
Some guys, I feel
Does.
like
Tatis is crazy. He's got a bunch of it up there.
I've seen batting helmet. Maybe it was Dustin Pedroia looked like he would bury his in the backyard, and it looked like the
Oh,
most
yeah.
beat up thing ever. Like, why? He's just a
Yeah,
grinder, I guess.
yeah, just wants to either look dirty and crazy, or he also probably maybe utilized it a little bit.
How are you with the ABS challenge system?
I'm mixed review on it. I miss when baseball was just baseball. I actually talked to one of the umpires this week, on Tuesday, and on the field just chopping it up with him, and I'm like, man, I just wish we would just go back to no ABS, no clock. Like if it takes 3 hours and 40 minutes, it takes 3 hours and 40 minutes. I mean, like whatever. My biggest gripe and complaint about it was like last week I had a 12 pitch at bat. Like I burned my timeout like the fourth pitch or fifth pitch. So it's like that's pretty 4 or 5 pitches in AB is like actually like relatively like a good at bat, right? That's like what you're shooting for in a way. But like 11 or 12 pitches, and you swing the bat, nobody's on base. So you swing the bat, you're trying to catch your breath, and you have like 5 seconds to catch your breath to get back in the box. And it's like that whole AB. I was so gassed by the end of it because I'm like, this is mentally, I'm just like, swing, get back in the box. And you get quick pitch. So you get in the box at 9, he's pitching at 8. Then I'm just fouling balls off, fouling balls off. And after that, I was so mad because I don't know if I walked or what happened, but I remember I was just mad that I couldn't call another timeout just to like catch my breath. And so I brought that up, and I was like, I wish that the clock would go away, or like I could at least keep the clock, but give me at least 2 timeouts if a AB goes over 8 pitches or something like that. Give me another one. But in terms of like the ABS, I think it's a lot better than it was when it first came about. I do think that pitchers get rewarded for bad pitches. It's like maybe what you see a lot is you'll see like a catcher set up inside on a righty, and a right-handed pitcher yanks a 98-mile-an-hour four seam away that the catcher like has to basically jump for outside and catch it, and then it gets challenged and it clips the zone because he's set up so far inside. So it's like that never gets called a strike ever, and so like we reward that with a strike kind of makes me like bothers me a little bit. Um, but the zone's pretty solid. Like the zone's not anything crazy. I've heard people complain that it needs to be bigger up and down, but side to side's fine. But I've seen a lot of, I think arm action, like where guys throw from their extent. I think a lot of that plays into now pitches that they get. You get submarine guys that are like, the catcher's catching the ball like this. It's getting called a strike because where it's coming in, it's coming in at an upward angle. So they're getting the top of the zone looks humongous. It's like I'm getting pitch outs that are getting called strikes on the ABS. So stuff like that I think will start playing into a factor. But honestly, I don't mind it. The two challenges are perfect. I think the challenge system with 2, 3 was a lot. Like 3, you could challenge a lot, but 2, you gotta be a little bit more. And we just saw it last night. Round Rock ran out of challenges in like the sixth inning, fifth inning. Um, but yeah, I don't. It's tough to say. I can see it like being a thing. I see the challenge system being a thing in the big leagues. I can see that happening. But in terms of how I feel about it, I'd just rather it be regular. Because at least I can ask the umpire, hey, you got that on the bottom? You got that on the corner? Like, you got any more out there? And then it's yes or no. And then it's like, okay, if you go further out there, I'm expecting a ball. Or you go further down, I'm expecting a ball. Whereas now you don't know unless you challenge it.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So you can like learn from asking, or just like other guys can see like where he's calling it that day.
Yeah, and that's what it was. I enjoyed the most about like I got to come through before it was even a thing. I got to play 5 years before. the ABS even became a thing because it was like that. It was, oh, this guy's got a low zone today. He's leaving the top of the zone. He's not calling the top of the zone. Okay, well then my approach now can change. Now I can start looking a little bit down, and I don't have to, anything up in the zone I'm taking. Where now you don't really know, because I do think it does change place to place. I think it's a lot better now, but I do think that depending on the stadium, the zone does change. Or like you might have a really windy day, and there's days where it's super windy and it feels like the zone's pushed in or pushed out. Or so it's just, I don't know. But being able to learn on the fly in the middle of the game and talking with teammates, like, hey, what are you seeing? What are you blah blah blah? And now you can't really do that anymore because you're just looking at an iPad and you're like, oh, this says it was a strike, so it's a strike.
Yeah. So wait, how many challenges is it per at bat? You get challenges, or is it like a team total that you use?
You get two total a game. If you get it right, you keep it. If you lose, or if you get it wrong, then you lose one.
Is that per player or
Yeah,
per team?
per team.
Per team. Okay.
Two
Okay.
per
I
team.
They should give you more. That could be like your timeout when you burn yours. You just like, all right, I'll just challenge a bad one so I get 5 seconds to catch my breath.
I do think, and you know what? And I've asked some of the umpires this too. I talk to umpires a lot. Their rankings or whatever, like where they rate like their balls and strikes, like zone percentage and correct calls and everything. They're a lot better now because I think the guys that have had to go through with the ABS for the minor leagues, their zone is so like dialed in. Like they're very, very, very good. And so I was like, man, it was almost be more beneficial to utilize it in the minor leagues as a tool for umpires to get really good at the zone, and then the big leagues it's normal baseball. That's like almost like what I would rather. I'm not, trust me, I don't get paid like that, so I'm not that high up on the totem pole, but I would almost rather see that just as a training tool than anything else, as opposed to there's just a lot in baseball already, so it's like adding more and more to it. I get it. The fans probably think it's cool and stuff, but sometimes it's too much.
But isn't it hard though? Because like, you go from the minor league game that has it to the big leagues this year don't. But then the back and forth. Was there ever like a reflex like I want to challenge this, but this is gonna make me look like I'm showing them up if I tap my?
Yeah, I mean, you saw it. What Taylor Walls the other day
Yeah.
did it, but I think yes and no. Maybe in the heat of things when you're mad and you're like, "That's a ball," and it's a ball. Like, sure, but you also got to think they got a pretty hard job too. Like you know, I've hit. I know what hitting looks like up there with dudes that are throwing 100-mile-an-hour turbo sinkers and 24 inches of side to side movement on a slider. Like I know how balls move, and like for somebody to have to go back there and call this tiny zone and obviously like the expectation is you got to do it, but like they're gonna make mistakes. We make mistakes all the time. Like that's just a known fact. So I think it's understanding that like they're not trying to screw me. They're trying their absolute best to get strikes and balls. But yeah, I think some of it in the moment maybe yeah like yeah, man, I wish I could have been able to challenge that ball. But at the same time, you probably also got a strike call that got turned to a ball that if they challenge it, it gets flipped around. So that happens a lot. I rarely challenge. I'll miss like two. I'll challenge two that I think for sure are balls, and they're barely touching the strike zone. And now I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna use mine for a while. I'm done.
I learned my lesson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we used to do fine. We used to do like little fines where if you challenged a ball, I remember in 22 or 23 we did. If you challenged one and it was like more than 50% in the zone, you had to bring donuts like on Sunday. But yeah, there's some cool ones like that. We had some guys that are really bad at it, like, full ball in the zone, and they're like bringing donuts every Sunday. And yeah, yeah.
I like that there's an internal game out of this now.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because what happens is you'll have like one guy that burns them, and there's strategy behind it too. It's like a 2-0 count with nobody on base in the second inning probably is not a great time to challenge a ball or a strike. It's like with a runner on second base with 2 outs in the eighth and you're down by a run. Yeah, probably challenge a close one, take a chance. But like, we'll get guys that burn. I mean, I've had games where we've burned both by the third inning. It's like,
You're
I
like
mean, the
shit.
rest of the game. Yeah, the rest of the game, like you're just regular baseball. But you can see like umpires like they take a breath because they're like, oh, I don't have to like worry about it so much. But yeah, you get guys that burn them. burn them a lot. You have to
No
put
worse
like a
feeling than just burning it on a bad one.
yeah, like I'll miss one and I'll like look at the dugout. I'm like, "Ah, my bad, guys. That's on me.
That's
Sorry.
on me.
I thought for sure it was a ball, but it was a strike. You know, that's part of it.
Yeah, it's fun. All right, I have one last thing for you. So I mentioned this to you earlier, but like I read this cool article on Fangraphs talking about foul balls and like how some foul balls are better than others. That like early in the count, foul balls not great, but with two strikes, fouling a bunch off, making the guy work obviously is a lot better. Um, First of all, did you know that Jake Cronenworth has the highest foul per swing ratio with two strikes in the big leagues?
I did not know that. That's
It's like
impressive.
like
That's impressive.
they
You'd
described
think
him
that
as like
it
a
was like
goalie up
prime.
there. Yeah.
That's easy. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, obviously, with two strikes, you're battling, so it's like you're almost fighting the strikes off until you get the one that you can hit. Um, that would make sense. Man, I never even thought about it like that. I have a guy on the team here, Nate Mondu, who's great hitter, very very good hitter, but he fouls. We always joke about it. I mean, he's fouling. It almost feels like every AB he's up there for like 8 9 pitches because he's like foul, 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 puts one in play, and then but he does it a lot. Where especially late in the count, like he'll back the zone up so much that any heater he's fouling off, and then any off speed that's not out over the plate he's fouling off. So it's like he's literally once he gets his one pitch, he's gonna put it in play. But other than that, it's like foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, and it does. I'm sure as a pitcher, it's probably frustrating and degrading when you're like you're up there. I'm about to rip this slider down away, and you rip it. It's like perfect spot, perfect, perfect, and he just nips like ticks it foul, and you're like, that was the best one I could have threw. Oh, a high heater here. You throw a high heater, and he fouls it off, and you're like, what am I supposed to throw this guy? And then what happens is you end up leaving a mistake, and the ball gets put in play. But yeah, it's impressive. I wish I had the ability to. Maybe one day, maybe maybe today, maybe I'll figure it out today. I always tell me maybe I'll figure it out. We never have it figured out, but maybe.
As frustrating it is for you in the at bat, like during the box, like you burned your or you burned your timeout, like you have to stay in there and foul them off. But like imagine for the pitcher, that's gotta suck. Like that stuff's
Oh
way worse for them probably.
yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, I mean they're up there. Yeah, they're 35, 40 pitches into the game, and you've burned like another inning worth of pitches because they're just hucking balls in there and you're fouling them off. Like yeah, that would be so frustrating.
Have you thought about that though? That like you don't want to waste a foul early, but like two strikes, like you said, you're just putting the bat out there, trying to get a pitch that you want. Have you thought about
With
that?
with two strikes, yeah. I mean, obviously, I try to. You're trying to do damage early on in the count, right? So it's like you're not. I don't think I'm necessarily worried about. I'm sitting fastball middle and he rips me a slider away. It's like, and I start to swing at it. You'd almost rather swing and miss at it than try to put it in play. That's
Yep.
what now, obviously, it's easier said than done. Like if you're swinging, I'm trying to hit a ball, like you're going to try to hit it. But yeah, with two strikes makes sense. I don't really think about that. Maybe I'll think about it today and you'll see me put more balls in play with two strikes or something. I don't know. There are guys that like that though. Like I know Timmy Castro's on our team. He's got a lot of years in the big leagues. And he's like that. He'll get up, two strikes. He's on the plate, like on the plate, and he's either getting hit or he's fouling it off, fouling it off, fouling it off, and like he will put that thing in play. It's impressive. I think it's a trait too. I think it's like a trait that hitters possess that they're able to do those things. A lot of it's thought process driven. I think guys that are their thought process is like a different way than like the normal person's. That's why talking to your teammates I think is so important because you can get so much more knowledge or a different perspective on, if I'm thinking about hitting the ball to right field, my body does something. And then if I think about pulling the ball, my body does something else. So different thought process, put your body in different positions that could work for your swing.
I've asked a lot of guys. I've asked mostly pitchers about this, but just like fastballs down the middle don't get
Yeah.
hit apparently. Like why from the hitter's perspective, why do you think that is?
I think, I mean, if you threw me a fastball down the middle, I'm swinging at that thing. I'm going to hit it. But I think some of it
Yes.
has to do with that approach too. Like you get so engulfed and I guess dialed in on like a specific approach. You got a guy that's a spin rate guy, maybe spin rate with
Mm-hmm.
like a gyro slider. It's like in my head, I'm going to push him a little bit down. not the top of the zone, but like a little bit down so that I can stay on the here at the top. And then if he throws something else, so your vision ends up sitting a little bit higher. Very rarely are you sitting like middle, like because guys don't throw, they'll make mistakes there, but like guys aren't, if a guy is throwing something that starts down the middle, generally it's like a two seam sinker guy with a sweeper, like, and he's throwing everything right down the middle, and then the ball is going to do what it needs to off it. So it's a strike down the middle for 3/4 of the way, and then it falls off for a ball. Um, so I think like, yeah, you throw a ball right down the middle, no one's expecting it to end there, like to an
Yeah.
extent, unless they're auto swinging or they're doing something like that. But yeah, it kind of freezes you off guard maybe sometimes. I get that on backup sliders, like a slider that's like right, like middle in, and it comes out, and it's just a spinner, it's just a backup, and I'm expecting it to fall off down and away, and I'm like, strike, where I get jammed. I'm like, how in the world did I get jammed on that? Well, because it didn't break, it just spun. There's just a cement mixer in there, which happens a lot, especially in El Paso. It happens a lot.
Me on my couch though, like, oh, this guy just took one down the
Oh,
middle. What the hell is that? But yeah, you're right, because you're waiting, because all these guys are ripping sweepers that like move, 20 inches of vertical break or whatever. It's like, yeah, sometimes one down the middle, you're gonna be caught off guard by it.
yeah. I mean, there was just a guy yesterday that was a right-handed pitcher for Round Rock, and I think his heater was at like, it was like 17 inches of horizontal, but he also had like some ride. So his fastballs are on like up and in to righties at 96, but then he was throwing changeups to righties that were 17, but like negative something. So they were like two completely different pitches. One was going up and in, one was going down and in, but they'd come out the exact same. Like they'd come out the exact same, and the ball's just falling off or they're going up. So yeah, if he throws one down the middle, if he throws like a changeup that's just a spinner, it doesn't do anything. It stays down the middle. Nobody's swinging at that because every other one that started there was, down at my back foot. So yeah, it's hitting's hard, and
It
in El
is hard,
Paso,
man.
yeah, yeah. It's certain, and again, like certain climates, like right now we're playing in stupid humidity, and I had a pitcher explain it to me because I was confused. I'm like, how are you telling in El Paso? They say their balls don't move as much as other places, and I had this big conversation about like, if the ball doesn't come down, then wouldn't four seam ride guys be really good in El Paso? And they explained it as like, there's not, when you throw like a slider, there's a little air pocket on the side of the ball that the ball like works against. So they're like, the less dense the air is, the less that air bubble is. So they're like, the ball will stay kind of more true to where it's at because it's not working against anything. And then he's like, where you come here, and Round Rock's super humid. So he's like, you have this big air bubble that things are working against. So now guys are getting more movement on their pitches. But they also explained it this way. They said if a guy throws 95 out of the hand, by the time the ball reaches home in Round Rock, the balls will just say 90, 92, whatever, because it's got, it's working against the air. Whereas in El Paso, if a guy throws 95, by the time it reaches home, it's 94. So it's like because it has less. So like velo will hold true longer. That's why you get guys that, they say the ball flies in certain places like Colorado. Like you put a ball in play, it's not that, the ball it never comes down because the speed never slows down. The speed's the same the whole time. There's nothing like acting against it to pull it down, which is kind of interesting to me when you talk to pitchers about it. They're all analytical thinking. They got so many numbers in their head, so it makes sense to the hitters for sure.
Yeah, pitchers are all like, they're deep into the analytics stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I love talking about like Coors Field. That they should just build an entire staff out of guys with high velo, because the altitude doesn't affect that. Whereas
Yeah.
sweeper, slider, sinker guys, like, this thing doesn't move right.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't move right. And I think there has to be like some sort of an expectation when you get there. Like I get a lot of cement mixer sliders in El Paso. Like guys like maybe they don't spin it very well, but in Round Rock they spin it enough to where it has like some depth, and like in El Paso it just spins. So I'm getting jammed on 87 mile an hour, sliders or whatever it is. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, the analytical stuff behind it. A lot of times I'll bring the scouting report of the pitcher to one of our pitchers and like, hey, what do you got on this guy? Oh, his fastball's not very good. Changeup's really good. Slider's okay, but like his heater's bad. Because half of the time when I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know what none of these numbers are meaning. There's too many numbers
There's
on
so
here.
many numbers.
Yeah, percentages, too much stuff, and you pay attention too much to it sometimes.
I didn't even know foul per swing ratio was a thing until
Yeah,
yesterday. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. Jay Cronenworth, that's hats off to him. That guy grinds up there, I guess, with 2 strikes.
yeah, he's gonna make you work for it. Um,
Yeah.
God, yeah, so much fun. So, Mason, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for always coming on. Big fan, man. Always rooting for you. So, best of luck in El Paso, and hopefully, we'll see you back in San Diego soon.
I hope so. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.